Hello, and welcome to Best Picture, Worst Critic, the podcast where we watch every single winner of the Oscar for Best Picture since the inception of the Academy Awards way back in 1929. I'm your host, Jesse Nguyen, and I am that critic. For this first episode, we'll call it Episode 0, I want to introduce myself to you and talk a little bit about the history of the Academy Awards. So first, what is this podcast? Well, as I mentioned before, I'm going to watch every single winner of the Oscar for Best Picture since the very first Academy Awards, commonly known as the Oscars. Now, who am I? Well, I'm just a regular guy. To be honest with you, I'm not a film buff. We all know that one person who lives and breathes cinema, and truth be told, that's just not me. Don't get me wrong, I love movies just as much as the next guy, but I took a film class in high school, and that's about the extent of my expertise. Honestly, I don't watch that many movies, but I want to watch more, which is hopefully where this podcast comes in. My background is actually in music and technology. I got my college degree in music recording technology, and so I'm used to talking about music, mixing, that kind of thing. And I've also had a lifelong interest in computers and technology, and so I have a full-time day job as a software engineer. So I definitely have an appreciation for the arts and for technical productions, and I'm hoping that'll come in handy for this podcast. So why am I doing this? I want to watch more films, and I want to gain more context and appreciation for the history of cinema. I want to see how filmmaking has evolved over the years. You know, like I said before, the Oscars started in 1929. It's almost 100 years worth of history there. And you can bet that the movies from 1929 are a lot different than the movies that we have now. And, you know, the movies that we have now constantly reference movies that came before them. And so I want to be able to identify when that happens, to just appreciate those references and understand the history of this medium. So what are the Academy Awards? I think we all know what they are. You know, the Oscars, they happen every year, and there's a bunch of trophies that get given out for the best movies in a bunch of different categories. But to really understand what the Academy Awards are, we should understand what the Academy is. So the Academy is short for the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, or AMPAS, and it was founded in 1927. The Academy was created to handle labor disputes and also improve the image of the film industry, because films were super popular back then, but the industry itself wasn't. Drug use was rampant. Stars had loads of cash that they got from making these movies, so you can imagine the kind of trouble that they got themselves into. And there were also just a ton of scandals. So imagine, you know, today's Hollywood, all of these scandals that we hear about with the actors and actresses, directors, all of those people. Imagine that dialed up to 11, because a lot less regulation, a lot less publicity, you know, media. And so a lot of stuff was going on back then. And so the Academy was created to try to improve that image. But at the same time, the Academy was kind of a union-busting initiative. Workers on sets were in the process of unionizing, but the head of MGM didn't want the rest of the industry to unionize. You know, imagine if all of the actors and actresses unionized, right? And so he created the Academy as a way to sort of nip those issues in the bud before they became real issues. Obviously, it didn't work out long term as far as the union busting part went, because now, you know, everybody is unionized, but that was the original intent of the Academy. So then what are the Oscars? We all know what these are. Like I said before, every year we have this huge award ceremony where the biggest actors show up, the biggest directors, and we honor the best films of the year. The first award ceremony took place in 1929, and it included films from 1927 and 1928. And originally, there were only two categories: Outstanding Picture and Unique and Artistic Picture. And, you know, that's a far cry from what we have today. We've got a couple dozen categories that we give out every year. So what about Best Picture specifically? Now, that's the most prestigious award, and it originated as that Outstanding Picture award that I mentioned. But in 1929, that first award ceremony, both the Outstanding Picture and the Unique and Artistic Picture Awards were deemed to have equal importance. But the very next year, at the next Oscars, Unique and Artistic Picture was removed. And so that just left Outstanding Picture as being the top award that you could get at the Academy Awards. Now, that category eventually became what we know now as Best Picture. And this award has spanned many genres. The first recipient was actually a silent film, and other genres to win the award throughout the years include musicals, dramas, animated films, and even romantic comedies. And we are going to watch every single one of them, starting in our next episode, where we'll be watching Wings, which is a World War I romance silent film that won Outstanding Picture at the very first Academy Awards. So, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next one.